Netflix has a new, monstrous story to tell. In 1950s Wisconsin, Ed Gein lived quietly on a decaying farm, hiding a house of horrors so gruesome it would redefine the American nightmare. Driven by isolation, psychosis, and an all-consuming obsession with his mother, he committed crimes that would haunt Hollywood for decades. The third and most harrowing installment of Ryan Murphy and Ian Brennan's anthology series. Watch Monster, the Ed Gein story, streaming now only on Netflix.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi! Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Welcome back, folks. This is the More Money Show. Thanks so much for joining. My first guest is Julio Gonzalez, who's been a friend of mine for 20 years. He is one of the experts, probably one of the 5 or 10 experts on the tax code in America. And he has a new book out. By the way, the name of his company is Engineered Tax Services. He lives out there in beautiful Palm Beach, Florida. And he has a new book out that I find so intriguing. It's called Why Billionaires Love the Tax Code. So, Julio, thanks for joining. And why is it that billionaires love the tax code?
Well, Steve, you made it so great. With President Trump, the administration, Congress, you made a tax bill that's so helpful to so many people, so many small businesses, but it's a little bit complex. So, that book helps small business owners, individuals kind of dissect all the good things you put in there, Steve. And ultimately, once they have that knowledge and read the book, there's so many things they can do to reduce their taxes, preserve that capital, thanks to you and thanks to Congress. And it's just wonderful.
So, Julio, by the way, thank you for those kind words, but you had a lot to do with this too. You're very close to Donald Trump and you've given him great advice as well as many, many Republicans. So you're saying that if you understand what is in the tax code, you can find ways to reduce your liabilities and pay less.
So many great ways, and especially with the new bill that you guys got done. I mean, we brought back bonus depreciation, 100% expensing when businesses invest in their companies, right? Yeah. That was a big one. That was one of the greatest ones you did. I think the best thing you guys did is make tax cuts permanent.
Yes.
That was tremendous. Now,
right.
Small businesses don't have to wake up every New Year's Day to a new tax code.
So I want to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a question about my own taxes because I like your advice. And by the way, I'm talking to Julio Gonzalez, who really is one of the top tax experts in America in terms of how to reduce your tax liability. And I'm all in favor of that. So, my wife was saying we have a lot of income. We've gotten a lot of income this year. We've had a good year, Julio. And so we're trying to figure out how we can make sure we're not sending half of it to the IRS. And so one of our advisors said, well, put all this money into 401k plan for myself and for my wife and so on, and that would reduce our liability. What do you think of that strategy?
I love that strategy. With this new tax benefits that you put into the tax code, investing in yourself is a tax deduction, so we can put money into retirement accounts, to IRAs, and dramatically reduce the tax liability. So I think it's a wonderful suggestion.
We reduced our taxable income by about a third through that's a big savings for us. What else do you think what other advice do you give? Because we have hundreds of thousands of people listen to this show and they want to know how they can reduce their tax liability. We were just talking about one. What other things that maybe people aren't aware of in the tax code that maybe billionaires know about but ordinary Americans don't know about that they could take advantage of?
Yeah, so many people, Steve, are working from home. And now in the new tax bill, we have some programs where you can put money aside for health care, and that's all tax deductible. You can put money aside for education, tax deductible. You can also pay
Hold on. Let me stop you right there. When you say money aside for education, what exactly do you mean? Does it mean like if I go to my kids go to private school, can I get a tax deduction for that? Is that the school choice stuff that they put in?
Yeah. Exactly right. So now we can invest in those programs for education and get a tax deductible, tax write-off. So that's great too, Steve.
And what else?
Steve, I was going to mention that so many people work from home now. There's so many home office expenses. Steve, you can also now pay your children and get a write-off for them and help them, set up some savings as well. So
wait, how do you do that? Because by the way, I work at home now, so that's a big deal for us as well. We can write off, you're saying we can write off some of our mortgage, or how do we do that?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Because now you have a home office, right? So you have to apply the percentage of the house to the mortgage, to the interest that goes with the mortgage, right? To, the electric, all that stuff.
Okay. And then I cut you off. You were starting to mention some other things that people are not aware of.
Yes, Steve, you can hire the children, pay them a wage, right?
How does that work? Hire your kid. How does that work? How can you do that?
Yeah, you can pay them up to a certain amount a year, Steve, and that's not tax deductible to them, but it's it's not tax to them, but it's a tax deduction for you. And obviously that can be set up to savings to buy school supplies for them for, many things, right? So this is another great advantage, right? And,
now, are there restrictions on how much you can pay? Well, they'd have to be an employee of your company, right? Is that how it would work?
They can, but yeah, of course, let's set that up. Yeah. And the restrictions are, once we go over a certain amount of wages, then it becomes tax. But we got some room there, and that's good. And so, just so many great ways, Steve. And again, thanks to you and how you somehow got this tax bill over the edge and got it passed.
It was amazing. So, one thing I wanted to ask you about, because you have a lot of businesses as clients, not just individuals. And are you seeing businesses now taking advantage of the expensing provisions? So they're, are they investing more in capital equipment and plant and research and all of that? Are we seeing that effect yet?
Oh, it's 180, Steve. I got to tell you, for the last few years, no business was investing in their business in capital because they didn't know what was going to happen. They were hoping for a new tax code that would bring back the ability to expense it, because you're already spending the money for the equipment. So why can't you write it off in the beginning? But, under Biden, he wanted to spread it out over 5-6 years. It's not worth it. It's not to your advantage to do that. So, it's night and day.
Got it. So we just have 20 seconds left. So I'm going to, but can you come on next week, because you have so many great ideas, Julio, and I think our listeners really benefit from it. The book, folks, is Why Billionaires Love the Tax Code by Julio Gonzalez. Get it at Amazon.